This is Zach Crockford's cast blog for 10/25/09. This is my blog on the Special Olympics soccer game, which I went to. I was a unified player today. I had to get up at 6, went to meet the bus where the players were getting on, and we went up to Oxford. It was a 2-hour ride, uh, which was a long ride. And once we got up there, we there were 3 teams that I was with, all from the same place, and each team played one game. The athletes were split up by their skill levels, and they went and they played one game each with other athletes in their skill level. It was 5-on-5, and the unified athletes went out on the field and played with the other athletes. So this met my two learning criteria: um, taking on new challenges and dealing with issues of global importance. Firstly, by this was something I had never done before, except last weekend I went to one of these, but I didn't propose it for Cass, and it's a new experience for me because I've never dealt with people with mental retardation or physical retardation before. Certainly not this intensively for this long. And it was, it was interesting. There, on the way home, I rode next to a guy who was 35, and we talked for 2 hours. And he was a really nice guy. He was a really bright guy. He was high functioning. He lived on his own. He just had some problems, and he was a good guy. He could talk. He really talked a lot, and we talked about everything. And he's just a normal guy. He's got some barriers he's got to deal with, and it opened my eyes. You see these people and you wonder what's wrong with them, but there's nothing really wrong with them. It's just that they've been a little slow. He was very open with me. He said when he was born, his mother's umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck, and so there wasn't enough oxygen delivered to his brain. And this brings me to my second learning objective: dealing with issues of global importance. Because, and this is something obviously that's happened, you know, for all of history, all over the world, and it's something that's hard for a lot of people. Not only for these people who have to deal with it every day and have to live with it, but for their family, for their friends, for the people they live with. I can't imagine if I had a child who was mentally or physically retarded. I don't know what I'd do. Obviously, I'd take care of them and I'd do whatever needed to be done, but it's really scary. You think about having kids and you think, well, he's gonna have a normal kid, he's gonna go play baseball, he's gonna go play soccer. And that's what this is. These people have these children, and these people are mentally retarded, and it's really tough for them. So the Special Olympics, I think it's great that they get to go out and they get to do these things, and they were all really excited about it. It was a really new experience for me, and this is dealt with all around the world. It's a real issue, so I thought it was really interesting. And they were all appreciative. Said thank you to me, and thanks for coming out. We appreciate you helping. They were all really nice. They all functioned on different levels. Some of them were, perfectly fine. They were just a little slow, or they ran a little funny. They were just, they were fine. And then others couldn't speak to you, couldn't understand them, but it makes you realize that they're all just people, This guy I talked to for a long time on the bus ride home, he worked at a hotel and he was perfectly vocal. He talked to me about all sorts of things, told me all about his family, his three brothers, his two kids. I mean, his two brothers, his three sisters, his three nephews, his niece. Nephew plays football and he goes to his football games, and how he likes to go to Canopy Lake Park. And he was a really sweet guy, really nice guy. And, you know, this is something that families all over the world have to deal with. And for families in less developed countries, I can imagine that it's even more devastating than in America. I mean, we have these programs, we have the best medical in the world, there's places to go, people to see, support groups, but in a place like Somalia, what happens if you have a retarded child? And where do you go? What do you do? I, I couldn't imagine. And it's got to be devastating. So, this is Zach Crockford's cast blog on Special Olympics for 10/25/09.